Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today. And so you see the title of the video. There's been a lot of talk about, I guess, what Michael Porter Jr. had to say about the WNBA, and they discussed it a bit on Gil's Arena. And again, I gotta shout out Rashad McCants, because to me, he is the one person on that podcast who I actually feel says exactly what he feels, right or wrong. And so, who's the girl on there? Lexie Brown, is that her name? You know, she was talking the same stuff about the WNBA, and I guess it gets annoying to the point. It's just like LeBron James. We're going to tie this together in a minute, but I feel like you all kind of know where I'm going. But she gets to talking about the same stuff. I mean, basically, the WNBA keeps ignoring what is being said about the WNBA and what could potentially make it better. So she goes on saying how, you know, basically it's a good product and they're playing great basketball and yada, yada, yada. And Rashad McCants proceeds to ask her, well, you know, you're playing good basketball. And I'm paraphrasing kind of what he says. And he says something to the effect, you know, if you ask an NBA player if you think they're playing good basketball, are they going to say yes? And, you know, obviously, but I guess his point is it doesn't matter if you think you're playing good basketball if the fans are not watching. The fans are not agreeing because they're not watching. So it really doesn't matter if you think you're playing good basketball, especially when you're constantly complaining about needing more money. Like, this is when you are trying to sell something, you have to figure out what makes it sellable. And so far, the WNBA has not figured that out. And then you have Gilbert Arenas talking about, you know, it's little girls that watch basketball and that they shouldn't have to lower the rims for the men because it's not really men that watch the women's basketball. And that's not the truth. It's mostly men that watch sports, period, and including women's basketball. And so, you know, Gilbert Arenas was basically saying that they need to figure out how to appeal to the little girls that's watching, because ultimately, and I will say Gilbert did make a couple of good points that, you know, about the girls coming in from college. Apparently, a lot of girls don't get to come in right out of college because a lot of the older it seems like it's not a high turnover rate in the WNBA. And a lot of the older players stick around probably for longer than they should, also like LeBron James, and taking up spots for the great players that could be coming out of college. Now, I do agree with that part. I do feel like the WNBA needs to find a way to get the college stars in there immediately. I mean, that only makes sense. It's like you want the young, fresh, exciting athletes, energetic athletes in your league. That should be a no-brainer. But like everything else about the WNBA, they seem very much intent on self-sabotage. But anyway, like I said, there was a good point that Gilbert Arenas made. But as far as the appealing to little girls, I mean, again, first of all, my thing is this. I have a couple of things to say. WNBA, players of the WNBA, you need to stop putting any of this on men about watching, because men definitely mostly watch. I'm sure men are the biggest watchers, the biggest supporters of the WNBA. Now, if you're going to shame anybody about not watching, it should be women that you're shaming for not supporting these women who play. That's first of all. Second of all, let me say this. Just from a biological standpoint, women are never going to be interested in sports as much as men are. So again, to kind of go back, that Gilbert Arenas is absolutely wrong about trying to appeal to little girls. No, you need to appeal to the people who would actually watch the sport, thus lowering the rims, because that is what's going to make it more exciting. And you know, they've mentioned lowering it to 9 feet a couple of times. I say lower it however much you need to lower it to make the game exciting. If that means going down to 8.5, that's what you do. And I've heard several women in the WNBA complain about the fact that, oh, well, I've been shooting on a 10-foot goal all my life. You know, it'd be too hard to make the adjustment. That is false. For those of us, again, if you grew up in the Michael Jordan era and you know they had adjustable goals back then, for those of us who used to try to emulate some of these dunks and we either didn't have the height or the hops, you know, there were plenty of times where we played on 9-foot rims. And let me tell you something, adjusting your shot from a 9-foot goal to a 10-foot goal, you know, within 30, 40 minutes, an hour of playing, you get very used to the height of that goal. It's really not that big of a deal. So all these women could take, you know, a week or so to adjust to a new height that will potentially bring more money, again, because the goal would be lower. It'd be more above the rim play, more exciting play to watch. And honestly, I think for me, it would even create a bigger separation from the men's game and the women's game. And I think that would be a good thing. I mean, it is already 2 totally different games. They use a smaller ball. You know, the game visibly looks slower. And again, you know, you can just notice the difference in athleticism. So to me, lowering the rim shouldn't be so much. At least try it. That's my thing. At least try it. What have you got to lose? But I feel like the real reason that they don't want to lower the rims is because they feel of how they feel like it would make them look, like it's creating this bigger separation between them and the men. And it's like, you just got to accept the fact that, you know, there's never going to come a point in time where a woman is dunking like LeBron James in the WNBA. It's just not going to happen. It's just not physically possible. And here we go. You know, this is where I feel they have the exact same problem as LeBron James trying to convince everyone he's the GOAT. It's like, you may feel you're the GOAT, even though I don't really believe he feels he's the GOAT, or else he wouldn't have to say it. But however you feel about yourself, it is obvious that the majority of people do not feel the same way. You know, the WNBA is like, you guys may feel that you're skilled and playing great basketball, but it doesn't matter because there's not enough people that think you're playing exciting basketball. And that's what's going to sell. It's like LeBron James, you may think that you've done enough in your career, but again, when these polls come out, Jordan normally gets 70% of the vote himself, and leaving 30% to be divided up by LeBron James and whoever else may happen to be in the GOAT conversation, which LeBron James shouldn't be in the GOAT conversation. So yeah, you know, I just like I said, to me it's just interesting that we keep revisiting these same points without, you know, the lowering the rim thing has been suggested so many times, and you would think that, okay, let's give this a go. Let's see if this actually does bring in some more revenue, bring in some more excitement, which brings in more fans, which could potentially bring in more revenue. It just does not make sense, you know? And we can say this same thing about LeBron James. It's like, you keep trying to convince us you're the GOAT. How about go about things in a different way? Even though with LeBron James, the clock has run out. There is nothing LeBron James could do to make himself the GOAT in the eyes of most NBA fans at this point. Time has just run out on this guy. But anyway, yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, did you get a chance to check out the clip on Gil's Arena with them talking about the whole WNBA thing? And what is your take on that? And do you agree that they have the same problem as LeBron James? And that's basically, they're both trying to convince the consumer of something that the consumer is not buying. The consumer is saying, hey, we don't see this. You're telling us it's a great game, but we don't see this. Well, LeBron James, the consumer is saying, hey, we don't see GOAT-like activity coming from you. It's not registering to us. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I will see you next time. All right.